What's up, heathens? How y'all doing? Tonight, we have a video that supposedly points out a bunch of contradictions within atheism. Now, I want to emphasize this. We're going to be strictly talking about atheism here. We will not be talking about any other concepts, nothing from science, nothing from any other field out there whatsoever. It's primarily atheism that we are finding contradictions in. So, if you heathens are ready for the contradictions of atheism, then please stay tuned. So tonight's video, we're going over the supposed contradictions of atheism. Now, like I said in the intro, we are primarily going to be talking about atheism tonight. We are not going to be talking about any other kind of principles or science or anything like that. It is only atheism that we are pointing out the contradictions in. You got that, hon? Yep. Casey's got it. Everybody has it? All right. Let's see what the first contradiction is.
Atheism suffers from many contradictions. For one, it elevates science fiction over logic, common sense, and basic truth. We are asked to believe that the Big Bang happened without any agency whatsoever, for no purpose whatsoever, to create everything. So nothing created everything, rearranged itself again for no purpose in orderly orbits, following steady interrelated laws, and then gave itself the ability to repeat and reproduce the same bits and patterns, again for no purpose. Yet all this happens with no randomness, no interruption or variation.
The whiskey softens the blow to my brain. Just so you know, that's a little bit of like, I don't know, would you call that lubricant? Anyways, this is not atheism. Just to point out, this isn't even a contradiction. This isn't science fiction. Atheism doesn't advance science fiction over logic, which I don't even know how you got there with that. But, you see, there's a sound reason behind how the Big Bang happened and how the universe forms. There are natural reasons behind it. So it's not science fiction. It is just natural processes, natural phenomenon happening. But you see, they want to act like there has to be some kind of purpose behind it. Like the universe had to be created for a purpose. The universe or planets have to exist for a purpose. I would ask, what is the purpose of all the other planets even existing, considering that, we're the only ones that are created by your God? What's the point in all this other shit out here? Why isn't it just the Earth and then the sun, and then I guess poking little holes in the terrarium Earth that you think we live in to give us the stars? Like, why isn't that? Why do planets have to be? Why do other stars have to exist? Another thing here is that they talk about it like it's random, but it's not really random, because you have natural processes that put these kind of, actions out there. Like, these actions happen not exactly randomly, because there's always a progression backwards to, the Big Bang. We don't know what happened before the Big Bang, but that doesn't really matter, because what happened before the Big Bang doesn't affect what happened after the Big Bang. So, I mean, we can, cause and effect, trace things back. Things happen now due to other things that happened in the past. Like the water cycle. It rains because at one point water evaporated into the sky and collected there, and then cooled and formed water in the air, which it then dropped. That is a continuous cycle there, right? So just like with rain and the rain cycle, you don't have to have some kind of purpose for it. It just fucking happens. They also like to confuse probability with stating like something definitely happening. Probability, like if you say something has a 1% chance of happening, that means that it's 100% going to happen 1% of the time in whatever kind of set of events that you have. So even if like living materials forming randomly, not really random, but living materials forming and evolution taking place, while that may have a small probability, it's not zero, which means it'll 100% happen.
It adopts very small probabilities and assumes amazing luck to bypass the fine-tuning arguments presented by the world's top scientists.
Top scientists? The toppest of the scientists, by the way, they all say that the fine-tuning argument has no holes in it whatsoever, which is completely bullshit, but let's just move past that point. I would love to know what top scientists accept the fine-tuning argument to say that, that actually proves a God existing. I mean, I get that there are some scientists out there that believe in God that probably are convinced by the fine-tuning argument, but you say top scientists. I would love to know who you consider to be a top scientist, which apparently here on the screen you have Dr. Dennis Scania, the distinguished head of Cambridge University Observatories. They don't even say that the fine tuning thing it proves that God exists. So I mean, you're kind of presenting it, maliciously, I guess, to support your argument. Maybe. I mean, I'm not sure. But again, they say that like we love small probabilities and say that there's this amazing amount of luck, right? That comes into play when these things happen. But it's really not luck when you just think about how probabilities work. Like I said, if you have a 1% chance of something happening, then it will 100% happen 1% of the time. Just because we have a sense of these small scales, humans, we have small scales as our norm, right? So when we're thinking about large sets of things like the entire fucking universe, we can't. Sometimes it's hard for people to wrap their heads around that. So like, if there's not even a 1%, let's say it's a 100th% chance that life develops somewhere, or even smaller than that, as long as it's not a zero, then life definitely will arise naturally.
We're asked to believe that our intelligence, our abstract thought, our consciousness can spring somehow from dumb, irrational sources. Again, for no purpose. We're asked to believe that DNA, the DNA code that's in our cells, wrote itself without a programmer, and that dead matter can suddenly come alive. Sounds like magic, right?
No, it doesn't sound like magic. For one thing, nobody says that dead matter can come alive again. What the fuck are you even talking about? Nowhere in... I need to bring it back to the main point. None of this is actually atheism. None of this pertains to atheism. There are plenty of theists out there that accept biological evolution, that accept deep time, that accept all of these scientific principles. So the fact that you're levying this against atheism just shows that you're biased against actual scientific inquiry, and you just want to push your theology, for one. For two, DNA isn't a computer program. It's a chemical. Just because we can analyze these chemicals, determine sequences within this chemical, and know what happens when that particular sequence is present, doesn't mean that it's an actual code. It makes it no more different than any other chemical out there. When we see a chemical, we can analyze it, we can determine, what configuration it's in, and we know what happens when other things come into contact with it, or just what in general happens to that molecule. Like, the DNA is no different than any other chemical reaction. Also, intelligence and abstract thought is just a natural consequence of central nervous systems. I mean, eventually we got to the point where more complex central nervous systems were needed in order to control the biological, shit inside of us. And so just because more complex central nervous systems were needed in order to survive better in the environment and thus eventually created these, abstract thoughts and everything like that, doesn't mean that atheism is like just waving its hand and not explaining it or anything. It's natural explanations. There are natural explanations for all these things.
Atheism has a confusing relationship with universal laws. On one hand, it claims that the laws, such as gravity and quantum mechanics, can create the universe from nothing. On the other hand, it ignores the law of causation, which is the basis of every science, every empirical science that's done in this world. There's no science without the law of cause and effect.
I don't understand how this particular point is a contradiction. I mean, gravity isn't hypothesized as being a major factor in the Big Bang, and quantum mechanics sure has a hand in explaining why the Big Bang happened, but we don't need quantum mechanics to know that the Big Bang actually happened. So there's no real hypocrisy here. I don't understand how any of these things are ignoring the laws of causation, or the law of cause and effect, and all this other stuff. Like none of this makes sense. Although, I mean, I will say that God kind of ignores the whole law of cause and effect because, like, in the Bible, at one point, the Ark is actually stolen from, where was it? Jerusalem? I think it was stolen from Jerusalem, or at least from the Israelites, and taken somewhere. And then the Ark caused dick cancer in everybody. There's your dick reference for tonight. It caused dick cancer, or I guess clit cancer, in everybody, that was around it. But as we can tell now, that's not we don't know where the fucking Ark of the Covenant is now, right? We don't know where that shit is now, but there's definitely not just a circular area where everybody just gets dick cancer as soon as they walk into that area. So, I mean, God is irrational in that way.
It practices self-deceit, calling God by any other name. When it grants God-like unique creative powers to dumb physical processes such as gravity and natural selection, it just waves away all difficult cosmological or evolutionary problems with no real empirical basis or proof. It devalues the human mind. It casts doubt on the ability of our minds to rationalize and reach truthful conclusions, because under atheism we come from material, dumb, irrational processes, and our minds are not built for truth but built for survival.
I had no idea that gravity and natural selection were godlike powers. Honey, did you know that? I didn't know that fucking either. So it's kind of odd how godlike powers is just natural, like, phenomena. Like, it's just natural shit. That's all that is. So it's kind of funny how nature and God are so convoluted in this particular video. But it also shows how you have no idea what those principles are or why they even happen. Like, for instance, gravity is caused by the warping of space-time. And then natural selection is just the natural phenomena that occurs in nature that selects for certain things in certain environments, allowing organisms to be shaped by their environment. So that's not godlike, and it's not superpowery. Like, that's the exact opposite of superpower and God shit. God shit is magical, natural shit is not. Both of those things are natural. But what cosmological and evolutionary issues? I'm just kind of curious because you bitched about this in your little few second rant here, but you failed to give any real issues that science, I guess, can't resolve cosmologically or evolutionarily. Our minds aren't built for truth. I mean, they are built for survival, but just because the scientific method has a mechanism worked in to account for the ability, the inability of some people to properly reason their way, through evidence or whatnot, just shows that, our minds. It shows that science accepts the fact that we can't necessarily determine truth. So therefore, we have to have some other way to guarantee that what we are experiencing, what we are testing, what we are determining is actual truth, and that's with evidence. I would say that the fact that different religions exist at all is pretty much evidence against the idea that our brains are built for truth or anything like that.
So we cannot count on the conclusions of such minds. Then it practices a stolen concept fallacy when it uses rationality to practice science and reach scientific conclusions.
Okay, so if you guys don't know, the stolen concept fallacy is basically a self-refuting argument. It's when you use a particular something to disprove that very same something, right? So like here, they're saying that we deny reason, but we use it for science. But we don't deny reason at all. It's the exact opposite. I mean, we rely on reason to wade through all of the religious bullshit. So we're not denying reason. She says that we're denying reason because we accept the fact that our brains are just, chemicals and biomatter. And just because all of that shit works together to produce a consciousness, it doesn't mean that a God exists or anything like that. Like, apparently, she thinks that because we deny God giving us reason or the magicalness of reason, that means that we are stealing this concept to disprove reason or something. I don't know. I don't really understand this point, but it's not a contradiction.
Atheism practices hypocrisy in fighting what it calls religious indoctrination, but at the same time, it has no compunction in indoctrinating school children in Darwin's tree of life, which has much discrediting science.
So, educating children with basic concepts in science is not indoctrination like you're painting it out to be, or it's not indoctrination at all. It's just basic fucking education. There isn't any evidence like against evolution. I mean, I get that there are some creationists out there that claim there's evidence against it, but it's not really evidence against evolution. Just because they don't understand, the things that they are saying is evidence, doesn't mean that it actually is evidence against evolution. Evolution is a very well established fact at this point, with mountains of evidence behind it. So you would need something more than speculative evidence in order to suggest that there's much science discrediting it. We got a super chat from Sydney Jewell saying, "Happy birthday, GE. Have a great birthday weekend." Woo! I am. I'm gonna have. I've got cake coming. This is the one time when I will have cake.
It sets a very high standard for proof, to prove a non-materialistic God materialistically. It demands peer-reviewed papers and so on. But it has no problem explaining away our ethics, morality, and consciousness, our ability to think in abstract terms and to be self-aware through unproven hypotheses and what Lewontin calls just so unsupported suppositions.
Okay, I get that you don't like the fact that we require some kind of naturalistic or materialistic evidence to say that a God definitely exists. But if you want to say that your God has direct contact here in reality, does things in reality, specifically has created things in this reality, then we should be able to materialistically and naturally test for those effects. We should be able to detect those things. So, fuck us for wanting evidence of this materialistic tampering from your supernatural God. Now, I'm betting that this person thinks that God exists out of time and space and all this other stuff, but regardless of how you want to move your goalposts, if God has direct contact here in reality, his hands can physically do stuff here in reality, like the Bible and the Quran claims, then we should be able to determine when he does that. He should leave some kind of effect, but he doesn't. And in this very video here, you even conflate the idea of natural shit happening with God. When your God becomes no different than nature, at what point do you sit there and just honestly say to yourself, maybe everything that I'm attributing to God is really just natural shit things, and I don't need a God in order to explain them? Like, I'm just wondering, at what point do you start doing that? Uhan Roderick says, the Holy Spirit came all over my face. God equals real. I don't know if that was God or Uhan, but okay.
Atheism denies and attacks the Bible and Quran. It denies any truth in these books. These are the two most read books on the planet. Yet, it treats unsubstantiated Wikipedia accounts and attacks on religious figures such as Muhammad and Jesus as gospel.
Okay, first off, I like how just the mere existence of atheism seems to be some kind of attack on this person's religion. Or, well, I don't really know which religion. They list both the Quran and the King James Bible, so I'm not sure which one they are. But regardless of that point, just the mere fact that atheism exists is an assault on their religion. I mean, how weak is your religion when just the mere opposition to it is an attack on it? Like, the mere fact that other people think differently is an attack on your religion. That's just sad, in my opinion. But I don't really care how much the Bible and the Quran are read. This is an ad populum fallacy, right? Because if you're trying to say that this lends itself to any, or that this means that the Quran and the Bible have like some semblance of truth just because a lot of people read it, I mean, that's just ridiculous. That's fallacious thinking. But also, these are theological books that don't really contain any truth about the gods that they claim to exist. Also, we don't treat Wikipedia as gospel. I don't know why you think that. There are several atheists, philosophers, scientists, and all this other stuff that produce material that's not Wikipedia based, that's actual scientific discoveries, or that are philosophical arguments or anything like that. Like, even theists in the science field and everything like that produce information that's not like just based on Wikipedia. So I don't even know why you're saying that we just rely on Wikipedia as fucking gospel. You know that you can change Wikipedia, right? Last time I checked, you can't really change the gospels all that much. I mean, you might be able to get away with it back in like the 300 or 400 time frame, but you can't get away with that shit now. I mean, people lost their shit over the new international version of the Bible. It's like they changed this particular word to that particular word, and I like it when it says this one because it means I can kill people with it. Arduin, God stole my spaceship. It's true, man. He took advantage for the fact that I was high on shrooms. God damn it, that fucking God running around with his spaceship. Those Scientology motherfuckers.
Atheism practices extreme design, precision. It employs the best scientists, the best lab equipment, exercises painstaking planning to imitate, to create new life forms using the models that God created, to imitate existing life forms in their continuously failing attempts to produce a simple living creature. Then it has no problem attributing the huge variety of life on Earth to randomness and chance.
When did we start trying to create life forms in the lab? Like, did I miss the atheist memo somewhere? Did I miss an email? Did I not sign up for a newsletter? No, I mean, I know, I do. I sign up for all the atheist type newsletters, so I don't know why the fuck you think that atheism is trying to create life in a test tube or something. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what in the fuck you're talking. Also, atheism practices extreme design precision. It employs the best scientists. Are you saying that there are no scientists that are theists that are good? There definitely are good scientists that are theists. Like Cy Gart, he's a YouTuber on here. He produces. I mean, he's a really good scientist. So I mean, you're negating a whole like demographic of scientists with that statement. Um, Also, God didn't create any kind of life here. There's nothing to suggest that God created life. I get that you think that, but that's not an actual thing. Um, I have no idea what the fuck you're talking about in this particular section.
Now, some atheists will say, hey, hey, stop. I don't believe all that. All I do is just deny God. They don't realize that just by denying God, they are denying design, they are advocating randomness, they are practicing hypocrisy when they assume their minds are built for truthfulness.
So I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to pretend to know what all atheists say. I know I personally don't think that minds are built for truthfulness. I don't even know what in the fuck that would look like for a mind to be built for truthfulness. Because like even computers aren't built for truthfulness. They're built to perform specific operations that doesn't have anything to do with truth. So I really have no idea what it would mean for a mind to be built for truthfulness. But I do understand how minds can understand truth and how minds can rationally come to the truth of things. But only through like a skeptical lens can you really know the truth about something. Only through actual empirical evidence can you know the truth about shit. So, I mean, I just for one okay, for one thing, just lacking a belief in a god or even outright saying that God doesn't exist does not mean that you're advocating for anything. It's a personal statement that applies to your own personal beliefs. That's it. That's all. And so she's maliciously saying here that just by atheists being an atheist or atheism existing in general means that you're advocating for the denial of, design, which just because you're an atheist doesn't mean that you deny design. You could be an atheist conceivably and think that aliens built everything if you wanted to. No, honey, aliens did not build. Aliens didn't build anything. Yeah, you kind of did. Um, but it's just this person wants to say that we practice hypocrisy just in everything, just in purely atheism being a position. It's a hypocrisy, and that's just ridiculous. She's got a little bit more here, and I'm gonna let her get to it.
By denying God, they are adopting fantastical beliefs and they are going with the most improbable outcomes and they are practicing unscientific bias. So, in short, atheism is a call to cancel the mind, to cancel logic, to cancel truth, all in the name of science.
It's a cancel culture kind of night tonight, honey. Because we're here to cancel the mind, we're here to cancel logic, we're here to cancel truth. We're calling to cancel all of this shit. Shut this shit down. Knock this stuff off. What the fuck are we even doing here? We got Skeptical Jesus sending a super chat saying, "Happy birthday, old man." Don't remind me, damn it. Drew's book reviews. As your resident sci-fi expert, I testify that the God Emperor is Dune. Of Dune is God. Bow down and worship the great Shai Halud. Ma dib, ma dib, ma dib. We are cancelists, and we're doing it in the name of science. We're going to cancel all of the brains out there for science. I really don't understand why we are painted as having fantastical, magical beliefs when they literally believe in magic. I don't understand that particular point, because they literally think that, like, donkeys talk, that snakes can talk, that, you know, God commands his prophets to, like, murder hundreds of thousands of people. And they take it as holy word. They think that God sends his word as an angel of God down to select judges. And they have these hallucinations where they think that they see some motherfucker that apparently died. And it's like, why are we the magical ones? You got the Thanos God that snapped everything into existence, right? I don't know why he spent 6 days making the Earth when he snapped 99.9999999, repeating, rest of the universe. He did it like that. But nope, he's going to take his sweet time making this Earth the perfect death trap for life, because like 99% of all life that has lived here on Earth has died here on Earth. So, anyways, I don't know why we're the magical ones. Honey, do you know why we're magical?
Because we're unicorns?
We're unicorns?
Yeah.
I don't know where my unicorn dick is. Oh, she's got the unicorn dick. That's going to be it for tonight. A little bit of a short video. It was a little less than 5 minutes long. If you're leaving out right now, I hope that you heathens have a nice night. I hope that you will smash that like button and subscribe if you're not already. Don't forget to stand up and use your voice, and I will see you heathens later.